Hi guys, it's Matt here from MCS-books, and I'm here today to do a mid-month catch-up on all things Femmeuary. So before I start this video, I want to say to all my friends in Hong Kong and to everyone else celebrating Chinese New Year, Gong Hei Fat Choi. I hope you have a good New Year if you are celebrating. I myself lived in Hong Kong for 4 years and I used to always love the celebrations over there. And I'm really envious of everyone taking part in the celebrations and enjoying all of the super delicious food. So let me catch you up on everything I have read and watched so far this month for Femmeuary. Now I started off this month really well actually, but recently I've just been flagging behind so much. I haven't actually read anything for the past few days. I've had a presentation that I had to prepare for. I've been doing focus groups and interviews and transcribing, which is a real pain. But yeah, hopefully I can get back into the reading groove soon. So, what have I read so far this month? So the first thing that I've read this month was Donna Haraway's Staying with the Trouble, Making Kin in the Cthulhu Scene. I don't have the book with me anymore because I had to return it to the library, but I read it and I gave it 3 stars. Now I thought this book was going to be really incredible. I like Donna Haraway's work and I like the way that she writes. However, there were some problems that I had with this book, but I will not deny that this was a very empowering book. It was a very interesting book and a very inspiring book in many ways. She talks about SF as in science fact and science fiction and speculative feminism and speculative fabulation. She uses these words in myriad ways throughout her entire text, and it's really nice to see the way that she kind of relates art and science together in an imagining for a better future. However, again, like I said, I did have some problems with this text. Throughout this book, Donna Haraway is promoting collaboration on all fronts and a complete equality for all in order to learn and to educate. And she is always bringing up this point of knowing that you need to know and you need to act and stuff. However, I personally had some problems that she never once really checked her own privilege, and she keeps on promoting the fact that we need to think, I don't think she ever paid any attention to who is allowed to think. And to think is quite a politically driven concept where some people are entitled to think completely freely while other people are denied that same right. And she never once brings this up, and I found that kind of went against everything that she was actually saying. Throughout this text, I got a sense of Haraway as a sort of Professor Slughorn-like character, where she sort of collects these feminist artists or feminist thoughts, and she uses them as examples, but she always relates back to how they appreciate her and how they have promoted her too. And I feel like she's then making a name or a representation of herself through these other figures, which I found quite discomforting, especially given the fact that they were all white middle-class women. She also has some very strong ideas about art and science, and whilst I could get on board with her ideas, what I feel is that she's actually promoting that art cannot be art unless it has thorough scientific backing, which I think is quite a problem within academia. She cannot escape this academic background that she has. She makes this book out as if it is a map for a better future for all, yet it's drenched in the academic language, which is actually very inaccessible to everyone. So I felt like throughout the entire book she was trying to sell herself as somebody that she wasn't actually in practice. Now, this was just my thoughts through the book. I know in some respects she actually does do these things in practice. However, how much of her practice is only kept within the doors of academia? Is she writing from her ivory tower? That's something that I felt she was doing, and it was kind of disappointing to see that. And she's very much against the capitalist regime that we live in. However, the book itself, isn't that an object of capitalism? Considering the book itself is an object through which she gains additional revenue to the paycheck that she'll be getting otherwise as a professor. But it is also capital in the academic world in the fact that it's yet another publication which gives her strength to her title and progression through the academic world. Could this book be seen as something that could just get her more citations in other people's works? I felt throughout the entire thing reading that each chapter, they didn't quite seem to make sense. She would implement just a few sentences at the start and the back to kind of make it seem like they fitted into the book, but actually they felt very disjointed from each other and there was no through line, which I felt was sloppy writing. Until I realised, of course, that they were all separate essays that have been taken, most of them unedited, and just put into a book format. So again, is that her capitalising on this ability to sell books? So I know I've been quite damning of this book, and I actually did give it 3 stars because there's a lot of worth in there, and I feel like a lot of people can learn a lot of things from it, and it has value in that respect. But on the other hand, given her position, I think she should have been more careful and more choicey with the way she presented what she was trying to say. So after that, I then read this, Christina the Girl King by Michel Marc Bouchard. And I rated this play quite highly. I really enjoyed it. I loved the figure of Christina, the Queen of Sweden at the time, and I loved the way it explored her story in a way that I haven't seen or heard of before. I mean, in all fairness, I knew very little anyway of Queen Christina, but this play represents a hidden story of her own history, particularly her lesbian love affair with another woman, which apparently the history books will always only refer to as her friend. Throughout this play, I was amazed by the way that Christina's body and her words and her mind were completely manipulated by all the male characters around her, and she was constantly trying to break out. And then it dealt with the question as to, in order for her to gain her agency, did she have to assume the position of the man, or could she still be her womanly self? So these themes kind of go throughout, were really incredible, and the ending was just so touching. So yes, I will highly suggest anyone to read this play, and if it's ever being performed nearby you, you should definitely go and watch it. I think Bouchard has also actually written the screenplay for a film with the same story and the same plot, so that could be one to look out for. I will give a link to the IMDb page down below. So after reading that play, I was really interested, and I actually wanted to watch the film that Bouchard had written, but however I could not find it on Netflix. And in true Netflix style, it promoted another TV series that it thought I might like. And that TV series is Juana Inés. It is a Mexican TV series about the historical figure Juana Inés, who similarly to Queen Christina was very vocal about the woman's right to knowledge. And however, she was very driven by her own personal faith in the Catholic Church. The TV series itself had perhaps low production values, and the pacing of the first few episodes was quite erratic. The shots and the writing of the script was not up to par to what we're used to now in TV. However, I do feel that the series has so much worth besides that. I really enjoyed it. It made me tense throughout, it made me nervous, and again, it dealt with the topic of Juana Inés not having the autonomy over her own body and her own words, and then always being manipulated by either the men around her or by the higher powers in the church, or even in the first few episodes, another woman. It was a touching series that really made me feel tense, it made me feel stressed and upset, but at the same time it made me feel so inspired that I actually ended up going to find Juana Inés's poetry. And I took a collection out from my university, which I think I'll haul later on this month. So this is a TV series that I think you should definitely keep your eye out for if it's on in your region. So then the next book I read after that was this one, A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine. This is a children's fictional book. It's sci-fi and magical and just wonderful. I rated it 4 stars in the end, and I just really enjoyed it. Now, of course, I gave it the 4 stars, for I was always reminded of the context that it was a children's book. Therefore, it lacked all the depth, or it lacked the sort of length that I would have preferred it to have, but I could understand why. I think the story and the themes of this book are just absolutely wonderful. I think it really celebrates being your own self and not allowing anybody else to tell you what you should or could be. It really celebrates being different, and it really empowers the female characters in this. And I just think it was a wonderful read with a wonderful main character, and I can't wait for the film to come out soon. So then I haven't got round to watching any of the movies that I said I wanted to watch in this month of February. However, another TV series that I've been watching recently is Violet Evergarden. This is a Japanese anime, so that's something you should always consider when you're thinking about the sexualization of the female characters in this. And it's not directed or written by a female producer, however, the main character is definitely a strong female character. She has lost both her arms, and she's now got robotic hands to help her do all of the ordinary things. And when you compare this with Juana Inés and Queen Christina, it allows Violet this sort of ownership and control of her own body from the way that she tightens or loosens the cogs in her arm, which really kind of gives this sense that she is in control and she has been given the right to take control of her own body. In some respects, she has also been weaponized. So whilst I haven't finished the series yet and I don't know where this is coming from, but she has been sort of taught not to have any feelings. However, the plot itself is about her learning to try to discover these feelings and trying to discover the meaning of I love you. There are lots of female characters in this that are supportive of each other, they're kind to each other, and they're all strong and they all have their own agency, which I really enjoy. But the visuals of this anime series are what really makes it great. It is so beautiful to watch, and the artistic style is just wonderful. So whilst it's not a perfect piece of TV, it's a very aesthetically pleasing one nonetheless. So these are all the things I've been reading and watching for Femmeuary recently, and I've been enjoying them all. And since it is now the Chinese New Year celebrations, I want to suggest to you 2 books. I personally haven't read any translated fiction from female Chinese authors. However, I do want to suggest 2 books by women set in China, either a fictional China or a historic China. The first one is Snowflower and the Secret Fan, and what I love about this is the bond between these 2 female characters. They have been matched by a matchmaker, and this bond that they share kind of really shapes their life, and the friendship is so beautiful and so strong, yet it has its trials and tribulations. I feel like it's a very honest and beautiful telling of the story, and I really enjoyed this. And another one is actually one of my favourite books that I've ever read. It's called The Secrets of Ginche by Alma Alexander. This, again, is about bond between women and the way that this bond shapes their lives as they form this sisterhood and the paths that kind of come through it. We follow all of the characters, but predominantly this one character from age 9 up until age 80. And so we get a real scope of the effects that these other women had on her life, and it's just a truly beautiful, heart-wrenching story. So if you are looking for a book written by a woman in a Chinese setting, these 2 really deal with female friendship in a way I think you could appreciate. However, I definitely promote you looking for female Chinese authors writing Chinese fiction, and I definitely suggest you check out Meonicorn's videos, which I will link down below, for she is a Chinese booktuber who loves talking about Chinese literature, and she has a very interesting video where she discusses what counts as Chinese literature. So if you are interested, I definitely recommend you watch her videos and get some great tips from her on finding female Chinese authors. Just after I recorded this, she uploaded a video talking about Chinese New Year herself, and she's also started up a giveaway, so I will also link that, and I definitely suggest you go check it out and enter. So that's my video for today. That is my catch up on everything Femmeuary. How is your February going? Are you also taking part in Femmeuary, and did you keep up to your TBR so far? Or have you, like me, perhaps not done as much recently as you wanted? Let me know all these things in the comments below. I hope the second half of your February goes fabulously. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you liked this video, and if you're not already, you can always subscribe, and I'll see you again for another video. Bye bye!